Hello, Story Nights, and I'm here with a review for Boom Studios' Bone Parish, which is actually a really cool book. I really enjoyed it. Very different and unique. I'm just going to throw that out there right off the bat. It's essentially a story about a family in New Orleans that is running a drug. They're running a drug empire. They're starting one up with they're making the daughter, I think, she's like the cook. She's like the main cook, and she makes this drug called Ash, or D-Ash, as it goes by. And it's basically a drug made from human remains, or corpses, that they dig up and find, and grave rob. They make this drug out of corpses, and it's interesting because it's such an interesting idea for a story, because the drug itself, it makes you see experience visions of people that are dead that come from the drug. So, for example, if the drug if the drug was made, if that particular batch of the drug was made from a singer, then a particular singer, then you would see visions of that particular singer. So it's really interesting because there's like all kinds of custom orders for certain kinds of trips. It's really weird. Honestly, this book was just a really nice breath of fresh air. Story wise, I thought it was a really interesting story, and I think it can go a lot of places. It's really cool. The family aspect is really interesting. You got, the mother, of course, is the matriarch of the family. She's the one that holds everything together and makes all the big deals. Then you have the oldest son, who is like the kind of the business aspect of it. He's like the supplier. He's like the muscle and stuff. Then he's got his best friend, the family friend, that's basically the lower level drug pusher, dealer on the streets. And then you got a couple of the other siblings that are basically like the grave diggers, the laborers and stuff. It's really interesting how they've kind of formed this whole dynamic. And it's just, there's a lot of cool little things about this, a lot of cool little details that I thought were really interesting. Like, for example, you see, well, I'm not going to spoil that for you, but there's a couple interesting little surprises in this book, and I think it all works together very well. One of the coolest things about this book is just the way it plays around, telling kind of a generic crime, organized crime, drug, empire story, similar to something kind of like Breaking Bad or kind of like Scarface. Just dealing with the stuff that happens in that kind of job field. The competition, the crime aspect, the supply and demand aspect, getting ripped off. I can by druggies. I can see all those kind of things happening in this storyline, and it all makes sense. But then you have the more supernatural aspects with the ghosts actually appearing, and like there's one part where a guy has a bad trip, and his bad trip ends up killing him because the ghosts are able to come to life for a second and they eat him or whatever. It's really gruesome scene, and it really makes for an interesting story. And of course, New Orleans is the perfect backdrop for a story like this, with its age, its kind of historical reputation for being a kind of like supernatural, underworld kind of area, connected, kind of a little bit more connected to that. All the voodoo stories, all the kind of swamp monsters and stuff. It all kind of all that history and mythology lends itself very well to this story. And I'm sure it's the inspiration for it. And it's just cool to have, you see a lot of, it's just cool to see stories that are set in your home state. Even though I'm not from New Orleans, it's actually a couple hours away from me, but it's still cool to actually to have stories written in that area. It's always interesting. And I definitely recommend this book to anybody who likes a good horror crime hybrid. I think going forward, this could be a really interesting series. It's definitely got some, good things going for it. So check it out, guys.